Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Wednesday, December 11th. It is 6:24 right now. Market's going to open in about 6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a few things here to update and we should be good to go. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Link is sent out. People are on their way in right now. All right, guys, I'm gonna start market liquidity over here. My Ninja account. All right, perfect. So let me start marking up liquidity over here. Daily time frame. I'm just gonna mark up the closest level. It's kind of pointless to go super far out. A minute. One minute here. All right, guys, marked up liquidity. Closest level of liquidity above is at 44,429. It's very close to current price. Closest level below is at 44,395. So for today's breakout, I'm only going to take the breakout if it's a sell. Reason for that is because I'm following the momentum breakout on open, or basically the way that we were doing it before. I kind of went over the data and the numbers are pretty much the same versus the new model and the previous model that we were using. The reason why I would have to hold off on this entry if it's not a sell is because it had two back-to-back losses. We had a win yesterday using the other model, but the previous model was a loss. So, all right, looks like we're going to take the sell here today. So we got market opening up shortly in about 30 seconds. Breakout for today is going to be a sell. Market opening up in about 20 seconds. If the candle's too big, I'm going to hold off on it, but I think the candle should be okay. Actually, I think I'm going to hold off on it, guys. Candle's way too big. If you guys want to take it, it's for a sell. Yeah, the candle's just way too big. So I didn't take the entry right there, guys, because I was looking for the sell here. But like I said, if the candle here is too big, I'm not going to take the sell. Or if it wasn't for a sell, I was going to skip it. The entry is running right now. It's not looking super great, but I'd skip the breakout for today because this candle here was just way too big. The 629 candle was over 50 points. So I'll leave that right there if you guys want to take it. But again, I'm not taking the breakout for today because the candle before was too big. We couldn't flip it to a sell because it was already a sell. If it was a big green candle, it'd be a different story. But because the candle here was huge, obviously was not going to take that trade there. So we'll follow it. But again, guys, I'm not in the breakout for today. Be looking for any other possibility here for entry. Damn, so the buyers are super in control right here. You can see that there's a ton of buyers, but the sellers are pushing it down super hard. The delta was actually 212 right there. Yeah, so you can see some very unusual market movement here on open. Yeah. So originally the entry was supposed to be for a buy today. If you're taking, so here's where it gets confusing with the breakouts, guys, because the previous model that I was mentioning before would be for a sell. The one that we were using pretty much this week, but the original one that we would use, we go in the direction of momentum, right? Because we had momentum here for a buy. So the entry was supposed to be here for a buy, but because of the setup, I wasn't looking to take any entries here at all, unless it was for a buy. So we'll follow through with it here. But like I said, if you guys are just joining in the room, we're going to go back to basically the original momentum breakout that we've been doing for the past 2 months. Because I went over the data and the new model is pretty much, the data is actually the same. I had to go and redo the entire year because I had to see if the data was skewed, and the data was skewed because I started to realize that there's some days where the trades lose in either direction. So if you guys remembered on Monday, we had the breakout and then it lost in both directions. So it didn't matter whether you took a buy or a sell. And I needed to factor that into the data because I didn't really think about that when I first went through the data. So I think the original way of trading the strategy works perfectly fine, and we're just going to stick to that way of trading it. So just a heads up, if you guys are a little confused, we're going to go back to basically just the momentum breakout, trading the direction of momentum. There's 2 ways of trading it: in the direction of momentum or opposite. We're going to go with the direction of momentum. Right here, either direction still hasn't played out. So if you were to take it here for a buy, it still hasn't hit TP yet. Let's go back to our main chart. So as you guys can see here, the liquidity below got hit already. This is the lower level liquidity. So that already hit TP. You can see here there's no direction of price. So I'm a little glad that I didn't take the breakout for today because it's not very directional at all. Hey, Maria, good morning. Yeah, there's not very much direction here in the market. Let's go over here to our clean chart. Here, I'll try to I'll save this right here so I can pull it back up. Let me just clean up the chart a little bit. Turn everything off for the most part that's unnecessary. Turn on the levels. All right, so as you guys can see over here, this is pretty much where price is currently ranging at the moment. It's ranging right down the middle. So if you guys remember what we talked about yesterday, these are the market structure transitions. The breakout actually still hasn't really happened yet. Actually, this is the wrong area. Sorry, guys. I was testing last night, so charts are kind of screwed up. Yeah, so as you can see over here, there isn't really much direction. Price is just ranging between this middle area. Find that. So let's see, market open right here at 6:30. Um, I would consider this a sideways move. So basically from this whole area right here, price has just been going sideways. So I'll try to color code things again. We haven't really had market transition structure change yet. Price here is just going back and forth, as you can see. So price is going back and forth between the 450 and the 350 mark. The breakout here is still technically running if you were in it for a buy. Yeah, I mean, there's no direction. This whole week's kind of been kind of like this. It's just been going back and forth. I mean, yesterday's breakout was good. So if you guys remember yesterday's breakout, that thing was smooth. It went straight to TP. So here's a breakout from yesterday. Went straight down at TP. The one before that, this is the one from Monday. It kind of did the same thing. Like it just kind of went back and forth for a bit, and then eventually it moved in a direction. But you can see over here from the Monday breakout, it didn't matter if you took a buy or a sell, it would have lost. Because if you took a sell here, if it retraced up, would have lost here. And if you took the buy here, it didn't reach full TP and would have went straight down to stop loss right after. So you guys can see the different types of markets here where, you know, you can tell if it's a good market for a breakout or if it's a bad market for a breakout. This was yesterday's entry. This was perfect. Went straight down to TP with no drawdown. This was Monday, kind of was choppy for like a good 20 minutes. And then here we are with today's breakout. It's a little choppy again. It's very similar to Monday's market. So, you know, like I said before, I didn't really factor in the fact that the trade can lose in both directions initially. And that's why now I kind of have to factor it into the data. So that's why I'm moving back to the original momentum breakout on open, because it's pretty much the same. The data was skewed a little bit, but it was for the most part still more profitable doing it our original way. So I'm sticking to the original way here. Technically the breakout would have been a buy, but the reason why I would have skipped it unless it was for a sell was because there was technically two back-to-back losses for that specific model. So I don't know if I have it over here. Yeah, because Monday and Tuesdays would have lost. Mondays was actually a buy for yesterday because we had a buy signal here. So Monday and Tuesday would have been a loss for the momentum breakout. But that doesn't really matter too much to you guys because, you know, I'm going to adjust the model when necessary. So that's not something that you guys have to really worry about. I just wanted to kind of give you guys an explanation of like which model of breakout are we using, which is currently going to be momentum. There's like momentum, opposite momentum. There's specific day models. There's specific time models. There's specific candlestick models. There's specific session models. I have about like 7 different models that I use for the breakout. Obviously, I'm testing them and I'm running data on them every single day. And they'll yield different type of profit. Whatever is yielding the best profit, I'm going to be using that one for that specific month. So not really too much of a difference there. All right, so there's nothing going on here. As you guys can see, here's a clean chart. Price is still going sideways right here between the 450 and the 350. Here's the order flow chart. So we currently have a sell signal right here. I'm looking for delta here to confirm that price is going to drop. So I'm either looking for price to confirm that it's going to drop or it's going to go up. So right now we have a sell momentum. We have a pending buy momentum here. So if this buy momentum closes, I'm going to look for bullish delta to climb to the upside. Once I have bullish delta here climbing to the upside, then I'll look at that as a breakout V3 order flow. So very similar to a breakout V3 continuation, but this is breakout V3 order flow if you guys are familiar with the strategy. But you guys can see here, there's just nothing going on. So there's no reason to really force any entries here, guys. Just be patient with your entries. I'm going to redraw the SR charts here. Go back to the 1 hour. See if there's anything below. Nothing close enough. All right, so here is the SR chart. As you guys can see, nothing's really going on here. So this is the 1 hour resistance and the 1 hour support down here. Price is kind of just sitting right here down the middle. Hey, what's up, Imperian? Yeah, no, definitely. I was hoping the market here would be a little more, directional so we can look for some entries, but it's all good. We'll take it as is, and when something does come up, we'll take the entries. But right now, yeah, market's a little flat, which is all good. I mean, it's part of the game. Just got to know when to trade and when not to trade. Hey, Sam. Sam said looking for clues to buy from 44,319, maybe, or a sell at 44,460 or 44,500. CAD news today, so be careful. Let's check the calendar real quick for the news. Thanks, Sam, for the heads up. So for today, we have, we had CPI news at 5:30, which was positive. If you guys are not familiar with CPI, this is inflation news. So we had a lot of inflation news this morning. It was all positive. And then we had gas stock change later at 7:30. This happens every Wednesday, so this isn't a new event. CPI, though, happens once a month. So the inflation news right there, it was positive. With that said, we had this big push right here at 5:30. So the CPI news this morning did spike price a little bit. All right, so we got price coming down right here. Breakout's still technically running, guys. If you guys are still holding on to the breakout from earlier today. All right, so we had liquidity get hit down here. We got liquidity get hit down here. Bounced off the sessions. Pushing right back up here. Let's take a look at the overall trend. So looking over here at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 30-minute is mixed. It's like right down the middle. It was bearish, swung to bullish, and now it's coming back down. The 10-minute here is bullish, 5 minutes bullish, and the 1 minute over here is currently bearish. So it's a pretty mixed bag with regard to the overall trend. Lower time frames here are pretty mixed. The 10 and 5 are bullish. 1 minute starting to switch back to bullish. So with that said, I think this might, I think price might try to push up. So looking at the 5 and 10, they're currently rejecting off the pivot. So the 10-minute is bullish still, 5 minutes bullish. The 1 minute here, if it swings back above the pivots, it may continue climbing up higher. Hasn't been above the pivot since 6:31. So it's been like since market open. Looking over here at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is currently just like below the pivots. The 1 hour is in between trying to shift to the upside. And the 30-minute was up to the upside and it's attempting to hold its position above. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, this is just the overall trend. Typically I like to have the overall trend pointing in the same direction, but you can see over here that they're all kind of mixed. On the very high end, 4 hour, it's currently bearish. The very low end, the 1 minute, it's currently bearish, but it's switching back up to bullish. So we'll come back and take a look at that a little later. The breakout's still running right here. And then going back to our main chart. So our main chart, there's no entries here at the moment because we don't have a direction of trend and we also don't have market structure. So again, like I said before, I'll go over here to our clean chart and I will follow market structure here. So you can see over here, price is still going back and forth between this middle area. Once we have a directional push, so for example, if the price breaks below, continues climbing down lower, then we'll label this as a directional move. Orange is going to be sideways market, blue is going to be directional, green is going to be breakout. So we actually didn't even have a breakout right here for the most part. because price didn't really break out anywhere. It came down, came right back up, and then it came right back down. It's right down the middle. Here's the SR chart. You can see the SR chart is probably trying to aim down for the support level right here. Once it reaches down this point, it can either bounce off it and come right back up, or it can break below and continue dropping from this area here. So I'll try to analyze things from different perspectives, just so that you guys have a good idea and good understanding about what's happening in the market, right? So, like I just said, we have, and here's the order flow right here. I'm gonna see if there's anything. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the order flow footprint to show that price is going to continue dropping. We have a sell signal here. So I'm looking for a confirmation that, okay, price is going to keep dropping. What I'm looking for here at the delta is that since we do have some sort of catalyst here for a sell, I'm looking for a staircase of movement. So I'm looking for the buyers here to be in control to the sell side. So I'm looking for 3 separate deltas to be negative, but starting to improve with the delta in that direction. So like, for example, right here, we currently have a positive 84, right? I'm looking for a negative delta here to show that the sellers are in control. Once I see that the sellers are in control, I want to see a confirmation that they're going to keep staying in control. And then once they do, I can look for a possible entry here for a scalp. So like I would probably go for a 13.15. That's what I've been looking at. 13.15 is like the good spread. I think TP stop loss, it's a 1 to 2. So we'll kind of see, how that works. Let me switch to my Apex scalping laptop. I want to set my parameters here a little bit. Don't stop at. All right. All right, so I'm looking for set up. So again, I'm looking for some sort of confirmation here that the sellers are in control. All right, so this might be it right here. So currently we have a negative 36 delta, negative 46 delta. I need this to be negative 50 or more. So currently we have a sell signal right here. We have negative 36, negative 43. We need something to be bigger than this negative 43. So I need it to be around like negative 50, negative 60, around there. If we can get that, then I can confirm that price is likely to keep dropping here because the delta is pretty low. So we got 30 seconds left on this candle. I'm gonna go for a little scalp here. This is considered a breakout V3 order flow. Again, this number has to be for sure lesser than 50. It can't be on the line. So I'll be following it here to see. It's not looking super great. It's gotta come down a bit more. We don't have a bigger number there, so no entry. All right, so now it just resets again, guys. So again, we have a sell signal here. I'm looking for delta to show that it's going to continue dropping, like that the sellers are in control. Right here, you can see it was negative 36, negative 43. If this was negative 50, then perfectly great. I would look for this entry here and I would take it. But because it wasn't, there's no entry here for me to take. So now it just resets. It's down to negative 17, negative whatever number it will be here. It just has to be lower than negative 17. And then from there, I'll be looking for another confirmation for it to continue dropping from there. Here's our main chart. So price is continuing to drop lower. It looks like we have shifted into a bearish direction now. So we need to have one confirmation. So we went from a sideways market right here to a bearish directional move. And we need a confirmation that price continues dropping. So there's two things that may happen here. One thing that will confirm that we're in a bearish trend is if price continues to continue dropping from here. The other thing is if price pulls back into this area, that means that price has just faked out and we're still within this sideways move. So I'll keep looking over here at the footprint. Again, this candle has to be like very, very red in order for it to confirm. We have negative 17, negative 84. This would have to be like a negative 100. If we don't have that there, then it's probably not going to be, there's probably not going to be very much of an opportunity there for entry. We have 20 seconds left on this candle right here. I'm not really expecting the delta to drop from now until then, or maybe we'll see. Last minute drop here. So if this candle does close red and it's dropping that far, below 100, I'll probably take this for a push to the downside. Candle's closing in about 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'll see how this thing here does play through. If it does, let's see. So this one here didn't play through. This here, I think this candle here just dropped at the very last second. But it's all good. This is why it's good for a 1 to 2, because if you have a 1 to 2, the risk isn't very high. So again, I'm gonna look here for another confirmation. It looks like price here might fake out and pull back into the range at this point. So I was testing out that order flow strategy right here. Unfortunately, didn't play out. The past 2 days that we tested it out, it played out pretty nice. The only problem here is that when the candle here comes down very hard, very last second, or I think what might happen here is its TP stop loss might be a little too tight too. I mean, maybe a 30-30 might be better for a 1-to-1 because it looks like price here may come back down. Yeah, and it is coming back down right there. Yeah, it's all good. I'll have to keep testing it to see what's the better TP stop loss. For this specific strategy, can't really be back tested because you can only go so far back with order flow. So looking at the order flow footprint, you can only go back so far. I'm going to keep it at 15-30 for now. I mean, if you guys want to do a higher, 30-30, you guys can do that. But looking at this here, it's just, I still think a 1 to 2 is going to make more sense because if you do a 1 to 2, then you can recoup your loss easily on the next try. So I'll look again for another entry here, guys. You guys don't have to follow this entry. Again, I'm testing this, I'm forward testing this because I can't back test this strategy. You can only go back like 4 days with order flow numbers. And in order for me to see if it works, I got to do it forward. So there's no other scalps here. Hopefully there'd be like some more scalps, but there's just not very much here to take because price was moving sideways for like the past, for the past 20 minutes or so. So we had a sideways move right here. Now we're getting a directional push and price is still dropping. So looking at my entry over here, it looks like it would have actually played out. Unfortunately, it was just my stop loss was too tight, so it triggered it before. You can see the spike right there. Price spiked up, triggered it, and then it came back down. So there may be another setup here, though. So we currently have negative 38, negative 90, and if the next number is bigger than this one right here, then it can be a possible second entry for this order flow. So again, I'm going to keep looking to see if there's any opportunities here. The only way I can see if the strategy actually works is if I forward test it, can't back test it. But from what we've seen in the past, it does work pretty well. So I'm putting my own account into at risk right now just to test this out, but it's all good. Taking minimal risk on it. So again, right here, we have negative 38, negative 129. This would have to be bigger than negative 129. So it'd have to be like a negative 130, negative 140 in order for it to meet the criteria, which is going to be tough because usually it doesn't drop lower than that number. So the buyers here are pushing back up to negative 39. Yeah, it looks like this one's still technically running. Not looking like we're gonna get an entry here. It's at negative 57, so it's not bigger than the negative 129 here. So the sellers are slightly in control, but they're not very strong right now. So right here, negative 38, negative 129, negative 62. This needs to be negative 38, negative 129, and bigger than negative 129, so like negative 130, negative 140, which was not the case here. It was negative 62. So the sellers are still pushing price down, but they're just not really in control right now. Price can easily shift back up for retracement. So I'll come back and keep looking at this here, but nothing else here. Hey, what's up, Brock? Brock's asking, definitely bullish. Hope we get some good entries within the next hour. I think price is bearish right now, Brock. I don't see it bullish right now. It's bearish from what I see. This price is coming down. So we went from a sideways market right here into a directional push. Price is now pushing to the downside. We're looking for that retracement confirmation to the downside here. So we're just looking for price to come down, retrace, come down further. Typically, you can see over here for market structure transitions, once it goes from directional, the next move is sideways. Let's see, Samsung, I see bullish day so far. Yeah, I can see the correction. So I can see the correction possibly happening. The only thing here is that if it stays below this point, you know, it might stay bearish because we have the 4 hour here, it's bearish, 1 hour bearish, 30-minute bearish, 10-minute bearish, 5-minute bearish, and the 5-minute and 1 minute here also bearish. So the higher time frames here are still very bearish. Ideally, my outlook from this week was bullish, but I don't know, it's just very unusual how the market's moving here. Let's go over here to our main chart. So price is pushing down and testing the liquidity down here. What I was going to look at over here was the news from this morning. So the news happened here at 5:30. Price has already corrected back to the news move from here, and it actually dropped even lower. So I guess we'll see what happens here next. So liquidity right here just got knocked out, as you guys can see. Follow the delta down here. Probably easier to just follow it this way. So price is pushing down right here past liquidity. There just hasn't been any scalps, guys. I mean, I'm looking for some market flow V2s, but there just wasn't any here. So like price hasn't retraced back up yet high enough to fill a market flow V2. I mean, we're still in a directional market right here. You can see the transition. So we went from sideways market right here, this orange line, went sideways, price broke below. Now here's the directional move. This thing is dropping down pretty hard. So if you guys took any levels of liquidity right here, we all came down and hit. So I haven't taken any entries today aside from the trade that I was testing over here. But this isn't going to count as an official entry because it's not an official strategy. So the only entry that I took here was to test this out. I'm forward testing the strategy for the breakout V3 order flow. Basically, if you guys are not familiar with it, I'm looking for price to move in the direction of momentum, which price is moving in the direction of momentum. The only problem is that my stop loss was just too tight. So right here, we got in. So we had the order flow right here. I mean, the trade moved in the direction that it was supposed to. The only problem was my stop loss was too tight. Because if I was doing a 30-30, this thing would have hit full TP right there. The only problem is my stop loss was at 15, so I cut it a little too tight. And then I got stopped out, unfortunately. If my stop loss was wide enough, it would have been perfectly fine. But you can see the gist of like the strategy here. It works pretty nicely. So like right here, we had 1784, 133. This was a confirmation of a bearish continuation. And we had so let me go back over here real quick. So we had a sell momentum, which was right here. This was our catalyst. Once we have a sell momentum, we're like, all right, just look for sells. And then we had a confirmation of order flow right here that the sellers were in control. And then I took the sell right here. The only problem was my stop loss was too tight. So it ended up triggering my stop loss before it came all the way down further right here. So, I mean, it's all good. There may be another opportunity right here that I may test out. This candle just has to drop a little further. And there we go. We'll see if this here works. Right, so same thing again right here.
Order submitted.
So testing it out again. Again, I don't know if the stop loss is too tight. I'm gonna have to adjust it because it's at 15. But right here, the order flow again confirmed. So we had -2, -27, -122. I mean, it might be easier if the stop loss is a little higher with the 30-30, but I'll keep it at 15.30 right now, just to because I do like the positive risk reward. The only problem here again is that price is a little overextended. I do have my trailing stop set to the 15, so when price does drop down to 15, it will trail it. I mean, we'll kind of see where it goes from here. I should have just turned off the trailing stop, but we'll see where this goes. It's currently below the sessions right now. Stop loss got moved in profit. And I think I got stopped out in profit right there.
Order filled.
Nah, that's all good. So I got stopped out in profit right there at 15. Basically at break even now for this specific entry. I might have to just run it without the trailing stop. But yeah, I'm back at break even. So for today, we had one small, and I'll keep the criteria up here. So the entry was over here from earlier. Let's see. So I entered like right here. Again, my stop loss is just a little too tight. But most of the time from what I tested, it usually works out pretty nicely. So right here, it just ended up spiking up, stopped me out right there, and then it came back down to full TP. And then this is the other entry. So this is what I'm saying. Maybe I should just take off the trailing stop because this hit full TP right here. I should just let the trade run. Yeah, because I would have been in profit. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take off the trailing stop. And I'll just keep following the entries here. But I mean, it's good to know. Like the only way I would know if this stuff would work is if I tested it out. So I'm testing it out right here. And this is just another variation to the breakout V3. The good part about this is that sometimes like, I try to go like one per momentum, but because, this thing continues to push, there's multiple opportunities here for entry. So I'll just take a screenshot of this so you guys know what entries I took. But there's no other scalps here that are available right now. This is why I got to do this on a separate chart. Basically roll this down further. That's the area. Let me check the you know what I'll do? I'm going to take a screenshot of the breakout as well. So looking at the breakout for today, guys, it wouldn't matter which direction you took. Either way, it would have lost. So for the breakout today, if you took a buy here, it would have lost because it wouldn't have pushed up to full TP. And if you took the breakout here for a sell, it still would have lost because it would have hit stop loss before it hit TP down there. So I need to test this back a little further because I think this is going to be the case for like certain market times. So like, for example, in the winter months where the market's kind of slow, or the summer months when the market's kind of slow, I think what I might have to do is I might have to tighten the TP stop loss. So instead of going for 50, 100, I might have to go for something like maybe 50, 25. Because 50, 25 is still hitting. It's just the volatility is not there for the breakout. 50 for 25 may work. So I need to go back and continue testing the breakout. I'm gonna leave it where it's at right now because you guys can see the entry from yesterday did work. So it's case by case basis. So like this is the entry from Monday. Obviously, both directions would have lost. Yesterday, this was like a perfect drop to the downside. The only problem here is that price kind of retraced up a little bit. And if we had a 25 stop loss, it would have been too tight and would have gotten triggered. So I'll just have to keep running more models to see what works better, what's the best TP stop loss. Right now we're using 50, 100. It works good on most days, but on some days like today and on Monday, because volatility is not there, it ends up losing in both directions. It doesn't matter which direction you take, buy or sell. The breakout would get triggered both ways because of the choppy market. So I'm going to add this to the chart real quick. We're just going to have this documented here. Either direction taken due to whipsaw movement on open and low volatility. Not take this trade following the breakout. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down right there so that we have that in our notes. And then right here, entries for breakout V3 order flow entry. First entry triggered stop loss at 15 points. Second entry triggered TP at 30 points. So I'm putting notes here. So if you guys ever want to go back and just review, I mean, these are notes for myself as well. Yeah. So I'm putting this right here so that you guys can see. It's going to be kind of hard to see here, the order flow, but just so that you guys have an idea, we had a sell signal here. We had the confirmation of bearish movement right here. Took that for a sell. I got triggered for stop loss because my stop loss was too tight. And then this one over here, same thing. I kept the stop loss tight, but then the TP hit right there pretty nicely. So there goes some setups for, for that order flow that we're looking at. Again, like I said before, guys, the order flow is not super necessary, but it does help when, we need that confirmation. So here's the clean chart. Price looks like it's going back into a sideways market right here. All right, so again, right here, you guys can see the market structure transitions, right? So we went here from a sideways market here on open, then it went directional, price came down, retraced a little bit, came down lower, and then now it's going back into a sideways market. So I put this orange line right here so that you guys can see that we're currently in a sideways market structure. This right here is now still going sideways at the moment. So again, I'll try to look for another opportunity here for the breakout V3 order flow. It's not really much different from like the previous strategies we use. It's just we're using order flow here to confirm the direction. Like I said, for the order flow here, order flow is good to identify reversals and continuations. If you have a catalyst, then you can go from like that catalyst to you can go straight from the catalyst to order flow. So like, if you want to use a high-low indicator, like say, for example, you see a low right here. See, we currently have a lower low down at this bottom point. We have a lower low and we have a buy signal. Like, what does that tell you? That tells you that price is probably going to keep pushing up. So if you have that right there, which we currently have, I would look for the delta here to be bullish. So we currently have a buy signal here. We have a lower low right here at this point. You can see the seller started to lose control. So now we're going to see if there's going to be a delta here that's going to climb up. So you can see the candle here is red, but the delta is still positive. So that's like that's a good part about this because you can see that the buyers are still in control, even though the candle here is currently red. The only problem is that we're right in between the sessions right now. So we have a buy signal. Delta is currently 42. Delta is 37. So this next candle here, the delta has to be a bit higher than 37. It'll have to be like delta 40, delta 50, whatever, maybe anything above 37. And then from there, if we have a continuation of it further, we may be able to identify the reversal back to the upside. So the good thing about this is that this is like straight momentum. It's like we don't care about the trend. We're just going directly off order flow, right? Not really order flow directly, but mainly we're using the momentum signal here as our catalyst. And then we're looking at price pushing up. So the delta here is a little too strong. I don't think this is going to work out because the next delta would have to be like 200. Right now it's currently at 200. So it's going to have to be like 220, 300, somewhere around there. And that's just way too high. Yeah, Daryl said full TP, solid strat to test out. Yeah, I agree. Works out perfect. Solange said caught the breakout for a good discount. Thanks for the analysis. Almost took the buy. Yeah, no, definitely. The sell here was nice. So, all right, we have price pushing up. We have the buy signal. The delta on this candle right here was 37. This delta was 277. This one has to be very strong. It's going to have to be like 300 delta. So I don't think this is going to work out for an entry here. But we'll see what happens here next. Because you can see how many buyers are in the market. There's a good amount, but there's not enough to like continue the push, right? So what I would look for here is I look for possibly some sort of a retracement and then look for the continuation back up higher. I don't think this delta is going to push past 300. I could be wrong, but it's not looking like it right here. It's currently at 100 points or 100 delta, but it's pushing up strong. There's a lot of buyers right here trying to take control of the market. Nope. So like I said, that's probably going to retrace right here. The delta there was strong, but it wasn't strong enough. It wasn't strong enough for me to continue climbing it. So these deltas right here, you can see there's a lot of buyers in control right here. They're trying to push price up. It started right here at 277. So there was 277 buyer orders outweighing the sell orders. And then right here, there was 111 delta. So that was 111 buy orders outweighing the sell orders. And then this one right here is now at 150. So we just reset. So like this initially was a start. This was a starting delta. And then we went to this one, but because this candle was weaker than this one, I'm now waiting for this one here. And again, the delta here is just a little too strong. I don't think the next candle is going to be stronger than this one here because it went from 111 to 214. And this one over here is going to have to be like 220. It's going to have to be really, really strong for it to confirm. So, I'm just going to sit tight and wait, look for that retracement or look for the reversal back to the downside. This goes back to like what me and Sam were talking about earlier. Sam said that he's looking at overall bullish direction, right? I said the same thing. I was looking for that overall bullish direction. It's just right now, the direction is kind of weak. So here, let's see. The cool thing with this is that you can use it on different time frames too. So if you go on like the 5-minute time frame, the delta is obviously going to be way stronger here. So we're still currently in the sell delta right now. Just kind of curious to see what the numbers were over here. I mean, the delta here on the 5 minute is super, super strong. So it's trying to push up higher. You don't really see the numbers here as much on the 5 minute because, I mean, it takes forever for these candles to close. So I prefer it on the 1 minute. Not that it can't be used, but I do prefer it on the 1 minute. Yeah, because you can see the fluctuations here. The fluctuations are like, they're never really that consistent unless you're trading at a time where there's a lot of consistency. But it looks like it can be done on different time frames too. Let's go back to yesterday's market. I don't think there's anything to take right now, so don't worry, guys. Not missing out on anything here. Let's see, so like 148. Yeah, the delta here isn't as consistent on the 5 minute. You could probably do it off like maybe two candles versus one. So like right here, it'd be like 125 or 120, 24, 125, buy. Yeah, I think as you go higher in the time frames, it would probably just make sense to just go double delta versus triple. But on the 1 minute, it's just way more accurate when you do it. With just one. All right, so the delta is kind of weak here. You can see prices coming back down. Let's go back here to our main chart. All right, so this is completely fine. If price comes back down, it's not going to make a huge difference to us. We can still continue trading. All right, sell signal there didn't actually close. So we might still continue to get a bullish push to the upside. So for the breakout V3 order flow, I'm just looking at the momentum for the delta or the momentum for the catalyst, and then I'm looking at the delta per order flow footprint candle to see if there's price continuation in that direction. I don't really care too much for the trend because the trend isn't like super necessary. I mean, the trend could be useful, but the thing is you can see here that price moves both directions. It doesn't have to move in the direction of the trend. We can still get 30 points either way. Brock said order flow gives a huge edge. It's possible to formulate or fine-tune a strategy using these tools. They aren't simple to learn, but they are handy. Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at order flow and the DOM and stuff like that for a long time. It's just we didn't really use it in a way that I think was as beneficial as it is now. Because now we're using it in a way that like we're just using it as a confluence to the strategy. It's not a strategy on its own, it's just a confluence to it. The strategy on its own would be the momentum, right? Like if you guys have been following me over the years, you guys will see that the catalyst for almost everything is going to be the momentum signals, right? It's you either enter the momentum when it actually closes or you enter it later when price continues down, right? Because that's how every strategy here pretty much works. If you guys didn't see the mentoring session from Monday, I do highly recommend you guys go and review it. So here is the YouTube channel. Just go over here and scroll down to the mentoring sessions. This was day 3 of the futures trading mastery class. So if you guys haven't seen this class over here, we covered pretty much all of the directional strategies. We covered the strategy types and all of the directional strategies. So you'll see that pretty much every directional strategy that we use here uses momentum. Market flow, we look for momentum in that direction, retracement, correction. And then for momentum pullback scalp, same thing at the whole numbers. And then same thing with the breakout V3 continuation, same thing with the variation, same thing with the pivot scalp, same thing with the high-low scalp, same thing with the triple confluence and with the liquidity push. Everything is tied around the momentum signal. So you can see here, with each strategy, you can either enter when the momentum signal closes, you can enter when price comes down and it retraces, you can enter when price pushes down further, you can enter when price confirms that it's going to keep pushing in that direction. But everything is based off the momentum here. So if you have the momentum and you understand how this works, you can use order flow here to confirm confirmation of direction. So that's what I'm looking for here. We have a sell signal here. So what I'm looking for next is I'm just looking for order flow here to show me that the sellers are in control. If the sellers are in control, then okay, great, I'll take some sells there. However, if they're not in control, then I'm going to look for price to swing the other way, right? So looking over here at the order flow, as you guys can see, there's not really much going on. We have a sell signal. The delta here is still positive. So it shows that the sellers are not in control. So once the sellers are in control, then I'll just piggyback on their push, and I'll just write it down further for like 30 points, get my little TP, and then I'm out. Right? Just keep it simple. I'm just going with the flow of market. Again, there's just not very much direction here. As you guys can see from the clean chart, I mean, nothing here has really happened. Let me go in here and mark up some new levels down below. All right. So here is the market structure transition. Again, we started off with a sideways market here on open. There wasn't very much of a breakout. Then we went into a directional push right here. And then here I marked up another orange vertical line. This is indicating that price is back in a sideways market. So currently sideways right now, what we'll be looking for here is we're looking for either price to break out or we're looking for a directional push to the upside. Because you can see over here from the market structure transitions, it goes from sideways to breakout or sideways to direction. We're currently in sideways right now, so it's going to have to go one way or the other. Like I said earlier, here is the blue line. This is the directional market structure. And look what happens after directional, right? There's only one thing that happens after directional. It's sideways. And what happened here? So if you guys understand the market structure, you guys can really understand what to take next. So you're like, okay, market structure here is sideways. I should probably hang out and just wait until price starts to move in a direction. Because when price starts moving in a direction, I can start looking for entries in that direction. So there goes that. Again, I'm looking over here at the market flow or the order flow. Again, we have a sell signal here. We need the delta here to be stronger than 19. It's currently negative 19. This one over here has to be stronger. It's currently going to be sitting at the session, so it's a little tricky area to be trading in. Yeah, looking at the order flow right here, we have a sell signal, negative 19. This has to be like negative 20, negative, or anything below that. And then once we have that, we can look at the next one to see if we can follow through with that even further, right? Negative 19, negative 31. The buyers here are pushing price all the way back up. So you can see here that the sellers are not in control. Delta was positive 163. So it went from negative 19 to negative 20, and then it pushed at the last second straight up. So you can see here the buyers are starting to push up. They're trying to get in control here, which is completely fine. You know, it doesn't matter. The thing with the market, guys, is that you have to understand, like, if you guys are trading supply and demand, like if you're a supply and demand trader, you should understand order flow, because order flow is supply and demand. That's literally what it is. Except instead of looking at, so this is what doesn't make sense to me with supply and demand. People are like, oh, this is where supply or this is where demand's at, right? This doesn't make sense to me because this isn't really where supply and demand's at. Supply and demand is on the current candle, right? Because if you look over here at the delta, you can see how many buyers and how many sellers in the market. If there's more buyers, then there's more demand in the market, right? Because people want to buy. So like whenever people talk about supply and demand, it's like, oh, you mean resistance, because the supply and demand is actually happening on the actual candle. Like people aren't like waiting to buy up here. Like people are buying in this area right here, right? And then when price pushes up to a point, that's like a resistance, because then you'll see how the order flow moves at this point up here. So, I mean, you guys can call it whatever you like, but whenever people call like these, you know, the zones up here supply and demand, I don't see that as supply and demand. I see that as that support and that, or this is resistance and this is support. The supply and demand is really happening on the order flow. If you're looking at the footprint chart, because you can see the numbers of buyers and sellers, right? Like right here, there's 87 sellers and there's 55 buyers. Where is the demand right now? Is there an oversupply or is there a demand, right? Right now, the sellers are in control. So this means that there's an oversupply because people are trying to sell off. But when there's more buyers, that means that there's demand because there's more people buying. So when you look at supply and demand, this, like if you look at how supply and demand is supposed to be analyzed, like actual supply and demand, like you're talking about goods and stuff like that, it's based off like how many buyers and sellers are in the market, not exactly like where people are looking to buy or sell, because that's just considered resistance. Like for example, if I have resistance up here, so just say for example we had say for example price came down to say this point right here, right? Because this is a lower end. Say price came down to this lower end, this is considered a support, but some people will be like, oh, this is the demand, right? Because price is coming down here and there's more buyers in the market. But realistically, you're like, okay, price comes down to the support level. What happens at the support level? This candle rejects off it, but you can see there's 299 buyers and there's 136 sellers. So what's happening here? They're showing that there's demand in the market because all the buyers are currently buying right here, and then it pushes price up. So I feel like a lot of people who teach trading, they like it's overcomplicated because they use terms that don't make sense. I mean, I get it. Supply and demand just might make sense because that's what everybody calls it. But if you're talking about actual supply and demand, you got to go by the numbers because these numbers here will tell you exactly who's in control. That's why for me, I don't like taking trades at like these low points. Like for example, like, some people like to catch tops and bottoms, which is completely fine. Catching tops and bottoms, there's no problem with that. But so like, let me see, this candle here is at 640. I'm just kind of curious to see like what the delta was on this right here at 640. Because this would be considered like a support level. 640. Yeah, so this is actually a good thing right here because so see how price came down to the support level and these candles right here, you can see that there was actually no demand at this point. Like some people might identify this as a I don't know what they call it, whatever the lower level is, supply or demand. I would call it support, but like you can see that people aren't actually buying off the balance here because if you look at the numbers here, the delta is so weak. It's like -20, -27, maybe positive 102, but it's not strong enough to like really push that to the upside. And then you can see over here, the delta starts to come down a bit lower. So I'm looking to see when price actually breaks below the support level. And this is where the delta starts to pick up, -36, -46, -17, -84. And then I think this is where we took our entry actually. Yeah, this is where we took the sell where I got screwed right here, basically. It was at the sessions too, so it kind of screwed me over. But this is the first entry that I took. It was -17, -84, -136 or 133. And I took my entry right here for the sell. This is where I got spiked out because my stop loss was too tight. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm not here to knock anybody's way of trading or any like style of trading, but I just make it like try to make it make sense when you guys are analyzing certain things. Because I feel like people they just follow other traders blindly, but they don't understand the logic behind like what they're calling things. Again, right here, there's just no direction, guys. So there's nothing for us to take here. You can see price is still going sideways. I would consider this a continuous sideways market structure. So price here is just going sideways still. We don't have confirmation of directional push yet. In order for us to get that confirmation, I need price to actually climb up higher. If price climbs up higher, then I will adjust this into a directional market structure. Right now, it's still going sideways, in my opinion. Or I guess this could have been no, I would just leave it as is. I guess we can adjust this here slightly. So this could have been a breakout into another sideways move here. Small little breakout and then back into sideways right here. So it was like very, very temporary. So here's the market structure right here. Sideways, directional, sideways, small breakout to the upside, and then back into sideways right here. So we're still in the sideways market structure at the moment. All right, so I'm looking over here at the order flow, guys. The number here is a little big. It's currently at 142. So in order for me to take this breakout V3 order flow, I need the number here to get a little it's going to be too high. It's at like 167. Actually, that's crazy. So it went from 160. Oh, actually, no, it's at 147 still. Yeah, so looking at the order flow right here right now, I don't think this is going to be higher. This would have to be higher than 147. That's like way too high. Like it would have to be like a 200 delta. But again, you can see right here that the buyers are in control. There's 176 sellers, 323 buyers. The buyers are in control. There's demand here right now. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, but this just shows you that this is currently what's happening right now. So again, I'm just going to wait for something here to kind of play through. Let's see, Barack's asking, wouldn't it be so convenient if you could have the delta summaries at the bottom of the candlestick? It is down there, Barack. The delta summary is right there. That's what I've been looking at. That's how I know what the delta is. I'm not looking at these numbers. These numbers are too, like they move too fast. So I can't really see what's happening right here with regard to this. I'm just looking at the delta down here because I don't really care what happens like during the active candle. I care what happens when the candle closes because it shows me like who's in control. That's why I like for here example, I'm currently with a buy momentum. So I'm looking for confirmation that price is going to continue climbing up higher, right? So I'm looking at the delta down here. It's currently at 12, 147, and the 16 right there. Brock said, I mean the standard candle, not on the screen. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I mean, there's probably a way to do it, but if you're gonna follow order flow, you want to actually see the difference between it. But I mean, yeah, I guess there's a way that you can possibly do it. It's just they're different candlestick. Like in order to turn them on, you got to go over here to your volume footprint, right? So the the way that this works is that like there's just so much data that's being like fluctuating on the chart that I think you could probably just have a delta, but I like having all the numbers here to see like what the totals are, right? Because like the delta could be negative, but there could be a small order of orders in the market. So like we could have like a delta of like 20 here, and the total could be like at 12, right? Or like at 20. Versus here, if it's like 20 buyers and then 0 sellers, you can see what the total number is. But yeah, no, it would be nice. I agree with you, Brock. It would be nice if you can just have it on the candle so I don't have to have a separate chart here open. But I think it's okay because you want to have the details here. You want to understand how volatility is moving, how many orders are in the market, how many in total, not just like what the delta is, but like you want to know like how many because the thing is you could have like a good delta, but the volatility could be very low. Like if you trade during Asia session, you'll see that the delta will be like 20 or 30, but then the total numbers here are like super, super low. It's like literally just one group of people who are buying or selling at that time. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll create an indicator like that where I can just have the numbers there because we trade in the morning anyway, so we know the volatility is high. But yeah, I mean that's something I could probably work on. It's just this is all kind of new to me. Well, it's not new to me, but it's new to me using these in conjunction with each other. So yeah, no, that's a good thing to look at in the future. Thanks, Brock. Brock's asking is footprint delta add on extra cost or it came with TradingView standard? I have no idea. I if you can pull it up on here, Brock, then you can see if it is available to you. I'm on the premium. I'm on the highest plan with TradingView, so I don't know what's included or what's not anymore because this stuff is they keep adding new stuff to TradingView, and I don't know what's new and what's included and what's not. But I'm pretty sure this is something that you have to pay for. I don't see order flow being something that's free. You would probably have to pay for the data too. Like you have to because this order flow data is coming from CME. So I'm paying for the CME data so I can have all the data here for the futures. And that's where the order flow is actually coming from. So I think you'd have to pay for the data and then you'd also have to pay for, I'm assuming like a higher plan where you can have access to this. All right, we have a pending sell signal here. See, question from Jay. Jay's asking, how do you feel about the volume profile indicator? I've never used it. Are you talking, is it like let me just look it up. Volume. Is it just like a regular indicator? I've heard of it, but I've just never used it before. Volume profile. Which one are you talking about, Jay? There's a whole bunch on here. Unless you're talking about session volume profile. Because I know you can change to a set here, or a candle type that is volume profile. I'm not sure if this is what you're talking about. Might be what you're talking about. I've never actually used it. I know people use something like VWAP and stuff like that or whatever, but yeah, if you'd be a little more specific, I can probably take a look at it. I'm just not sure which one. Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah. If you get the name of it, I can look at it and I can tell you what I think of it. I don't really use that stuff. The thing is, I trade the same session every day, so the session volume isn't really necessary for me because I already know where the volatility is at. It's usually on open, just from experience because I've been trading the same, I've been trading YM every day in the morning for like maybe 8 years now, 6 or 8 years. So I know where the volume's at. I don't need a tool to tell me where the volume's at. But yeah, if you could pull it, if you can tell me which indicator, I can pull it up and I can kind of give you my thoughts. But I personally haven't used it, so I can't really have much to say on it. But I can usually see like if I put the indicator on my chart and I see like where things are placed, I can tell you if it's like useful or not. At least for like my trading. I mean, it might be useful for you, might be useful for someone else, but it's always like I'm always have to check out new tools. Oh yeah, I know that tool. So that's the one that has like bars here on the sides, right? So let me add it up on here. It was one of I forgot what it was called. Yeah, it's one of the built-in ones. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so with this stuff right here, I mean, I think it's okay, but for my style of trading, it's not really necessary because I already have momentum on the chart. I know some people they like to trade like at these certain levels where they see where there's volume at. So, in my opinion, I do think it is useful to some extent if you have a strategy or you have some sort of way of using it. Because I've seen people use this in the past. There's people in the group here who use it as well. I think CT used it for a while. He's not here right now, but he would use this in a while to identify like supply and demand levels, right? That's kind of like what people use it for. They used it to identify where people are trading and stuff. Um, so yeah, I think it's a useful tool, but for me, it's not useful. The reason why it's not useful for me is because I don't really care where this is sitting. I typically trade anywhere in the open. So I'll trade anywhere in the market. I don't look for price to reach a certain area. Like I'm not looking for price to come up here and then catch the bounce off there or look for price to push down here and bounce from there. Because the thing is, the volume profile, it's always going to be volatile in the middle, right? Like it's always going to be volatile in the middle because that's where all the trading's happening, right? Wherever the candles are currently at right now, like you can see right here, obviously it's going to be big right here because this is where all the trading's happening. It's going to be small over here and over here because there's no price up here. Um, so yeah, I mean, short answer to your question is yes, I do think it's a good tool if you have something specific to use it for. But for the most part, for me, it's not useful because I'm always trading in the middle anyways. Like I don't set pending orders like down here, or I don't set any pending orders up here. I just trade like where market's actually moving. So hope that makes sense, but like, it's just not useful for my specific type of trading since I'm scalping. If you're like trading on like maybe the higher time frames, or if you're looking for tops and bottoms, then yeah, I could see how it could be useful. But just for me specifically, just doesn't make sense because I'm not looking for like pending orders up here or down here because that's kind of where it's used for, right? You're adding that on your chart to see. Let me add it back on again. So oops, I don't know why the indicator. What was it called again? Yeah, because what I see with a lot of people who use this for is like, say for example, you're trying to trade support and resistance or supply and demand, or you want to trade like what happens is you're trying to catch tops and bottoms. Like I said, like down here we have a lower low, right? So what a lot of people would do is they would look at this as a support level, and then they would line it up with a volume profile. So if they see a lot of volume down here, then they're like, okay, this is going to be a strong support level. So they're expecting price to come down and bounce off there. So that's kind of like what people use it for. Or like, for example, this might be a better example right here. So see, there's a higher high at this point. This could be considered resistance. They see there's a lot of volume sitting right here. So what people would anticipate is, okay, if there's volume here and there's a higher high, and this is probably a resistance or a supply and demand level, then they look for price to bounce from there. So yeah, it's useful if you're looking to catch tops and bottoms. So if you're looking for price to come up and bounce off this point and you use this to identify volume, yeah, perfect. But the thing that's skewed about this tool here is that once price gets to this point, like once it gets up here, the volume is going to be high regardless of the fact. Like right now, it looks like it's not super high, but you can see like wherever price is currently at, the volume profile is always going to be high. So that's why it's kind of tricky, because it tricks you to think that there's like volume there, but realistically, there's always going to be volume wherever price is currently sitting. Yeah, no problem, Jay. Yeah. So yeah, it just doesn't fit my trading style. Like if you're a position trader, then it would make sense. All right, guys. So we don't have much going on here. Again, I was looking for at least one more entry here before we wrap it up, but it's looking like there's nothing here that's going to come up. So I'm pretty much break even for the day. I took one loss and I took one win. It was a 1 to 2. So it brought my accounts back to, I mean, basically break even. I was hoping to squeeze one more trade in here. Maybe I could squeeze one more. We'll see. But the volume here is starting to die down a little bit. Let's take a look at the ATR. So the ATR is currently at 16. It's not super low, but it's low. Typically, you want this to be like above 20. When it's below 15, it's for sure like market's dead. So if you guys have traded with me in the past, during the winter months and summer months, like when this goes below 15, we don't even take any trades. When it goes below like 10, that's like market's like dead. It's just super flat. If you guys are not familiar with the ATR is the average true range. So I have it set to the previous 7 candles. This shows you that the average of each candle that's been moving for the past 7 candles is 17 points. So if it's only moving 17 points, it's going to be tough because my TP is 30 points, right? So I needed to actually push in order for me to have some sort of, movement or direction there. So yeah, it's all good. Again, I'll keep looking for an entry here. I personally do want to take an entry, so I'll keep looking, but I'm not going to FOMO into any entries here. So looking at the Delta is actually looking pretty nice right now. We have a buy signal. We have a 27 Delta. We have a 24 Delta here that's currently pending. We need this Delta to be higher than 27. So it's got to be like around 30. It doesn't have to be 30, but it needs to be a little higher. I'm hoping it doesn't go too high though. So 50 is nice. I don't want it to go up to like 100. 100 is now kind of pushing it. 75 is still kind of pushing it. I want it to stay decent. Like not super, super high, not super low, just like enough so that the following candle can be higher. Because if the delta is too high on this one, the next candle is probably not going to beat it. All right, the delta on this one looks like it's going to be around the 90 mark. Delta is at 87. All right, so if this delta is like more than 100, possible entry here. The only thing that I would say to be careful for is that we may be getting close to the sessions up here. So something to keep in mind. Nice. Yeah, thanks for your input, Brock. So Brock just responded to your inquiry too. He says that like some people use to identify supply and demand, like I said earlier, where it has a deep gap inside, there will be liquidity above or below depending on where it is. Yeah, no, definitely, Brock. That's pretty much what I mentioned too earlier. So it's like, you use those volume profiles as like to identify where your supply and demand is going to be sitting. It's just one way to identify supply and demand. I think it's easier that way versus what other people do, because it shows you the bars. But it doesn't always work. So I actually tried that a long time ago, when CT was using it. So I think about like 4 years ago, CT was like, oh, this is like, you need to know this. Like, this is the only way to trade. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it looks cool. But then when you use it in real time, it doesn't actually work as well. Because he was like, it works good when you see it from perspective, like from outside looking in. But then when you actually use it during real market conditions, it's not as accurate. It's easy to look at it from a back testing view because like obviously the volume's already there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's still a good tool. Overall, I think it's still a good tool. I think all tools are good as long as you know how to use them. I mean, that's what I'll say. A lot of people shit on indicators, but like the indicators just make things a lot more efficient. Like for my tools here, I created these indicators because I just wanted it to be more efficient for me to analyze the charts versus me having to go and identify momentum myself, right? It's a lot of work to go and like for me to identify the momentum here, it would take me like, if not minutes, maybe like an hour to identify, okay, is this actual momentum? I mean, it's kind of obvious though, like when you look at it, it's kind of obvious, but then you have to like, there's so many different factors to identify momentum, identify the trend, identify support resistance, identify high lows. There's just so many things that you have to do. If you were to do this manually, it would just go over your head, right? So for me personally, I prefer to have my tools here to do the work for me. And then I'm still making analysis based off like a candle price action and movement. All right, so we got the delta here again, restarting. Let's see. So we have the buy signal here, 27.87, went back to negative here, which is perfectly fine. And then we just need to see that build up to see the buyers here in control. Looking over here at the clean chart, you guys can see price is still ranging. So we went into this consolidation phase here. As you guys know, I typically don't trade into this time period. I usually only trade between 640 and 7. My sweet spot for trading is 640 and 7. And you can see here that this thing lined up exactly with that. So like right here between 646 and 701, this is where the directional push happened, right? So this is my edge in the market. I typically take most of my trades around this area because after this is done, the market just kind of goes flat. And that's literally what's happening here. You can see from the market structure that I drew up, we had a sideways market, directional market, sideways market, small breakout, back into a sideways market. And it's been going sideways for the past like almost 40 minutes now. So past 40 minutes, we've been in a sideways market. There's nothing to take here. Ideally, I'd look for some sort of confirmation of direction. So here's the good thing. The good thing is that market has been going sideways for so long that it's going to have to break out or push directional at some point, right? It can't stay in this sideways market forever. So eventually, maybe in the next couple of minutes or so, hopefully, we'll get some push to the upside or a push to the downside. And then from there, we can maybe take something. But at this very moment, there's just nothing to take here right now. Price is literally just going sideways. So again, you just gotta sit tight and wait for something here to happen. 7:47 right now, though. We're getting closer to 8 o'clock, guys. So I might just wrap this up soon because I don't really see much happening here. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens here. But if there's nothing that happens here in the next few moments or so, we'll probably just wrap it up. There's no breakout for today that I took. I only took 2 trades for the day. I took the breakout V3 order flow. So I took one for a loss initially for 15 points. And then the other one was for 30 points for net profit. Right here. It's just, man, it's crazy. This week and last week has just been pretty slow. It's been pretty slow. Yeah, like last week was pretty slow for NFP. This week again is like kind of slow. We had like the choppiness on Monday. We have the choppiness today. Yesterday was a good day. So yesterday we had one good day of the week, but Monday and today has been pretty choppy. Surprisingly, because the CPI news came out, so I was expecting there to be more of a, I don't know, more of something at least. All right, so the delta right now we had 59, 112, and then we'll see if this one here is above 100. If this is above 112, then we can take, or I can take this for a possible breakout V3 order flow. Otherwise, it's going to be a little tricky because it's right at the sessions. So in order for me to take the buy here, it's going to be pretty tricky because I'm going to have to get through the sessions right there, which I don't want to. It's always a problem getting past the sessions there. Let's see, Sam said I regret buying that V1 at the bottom. Second guess. Wait, you regret buying it? Or you regret not buying it, Sam? Because I would have been happy buying it from here on the bottom. V1 variation right there. It's a nice push. Oh, not buying it. Okay, I was like, why would you regret buying it? Because this thing pushed up like 100 points. Yeah, I mean, it would have been solid. This one right here too, Sam. I don't know if you caught this one. There's another V1 variation right there. But this one would have been the right one because there's a pending buy signal, right? So when you have a pending buy signal like that, you're basically getting in at the very, very bottom. And you were at hourly support. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Sucks. Sorry, SR zone down there. Yeah, I know. That would have been a nice trade. It's all good though. It's all good. You'll catch the next one, Sam. But again, you can see over here from my SR chart, price is kind of just sitting in the support right here. I think this is the daily or the 1 hour support, one of the two, or 4 hour. I know it's one of the higher time frames. So I think price is actually within the 4 hour support right now. Let me go on the 4 hour real quick. Yes. So it looks like it's the 4 hour support, if not the daily. Or the 1 hour. So it looks like this is currently the 1 hour support. It's the 1 hour and 4 hour support. Price is like pretty much just sitting right here in the middle. So I mean, there's nothing going on here right now. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to take here. Price is still going sideways. You can see over here. If you guys don't like this color coordination, guys, just let me know. I'm doing this like for you guys, basically. I'm not really doing this for me because I can see if market's going sideways or if it's moving directional. But if you guys don't like this color coordination, if you think there's like too much going on here on the chart, just let me know. Because this is meant to be our clean chart. But I put the colors here so that you guys can see, when price is going sideways, when it's blue, it's going directional, when it's orange, it's going sideways, when it's green, it's breaking out, orange going sideways, just so that you guys are able to understand market structure. Because if you guys can understand market structure, it just opens up a whole new game for a lot of people because you'll know exactly what to look for next. Price here is going sideways. So what do you think is going to happen after this? It's going to be a breakout or directional, right? So what you can do is this will tell you, all right, market's going sideways. So let's just not take any trades right now. Or if you do want to take trades, take sideways entries, right? The only sideways entries here that have come up, there actually hasn't been any here that I can see. Because right here, I mean, let's see, it's been going sideways since 7/14. And there hasn't been any entries here since. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing this all for you guys. So it doesn't matter. I can analyze the charts with nothing on the charts. I can analyze it with stuff on the charts. I think having these lines on here just helps people kind of see things better with regard to structure. So again, like if you're looking for an entry here, just wait for price to break out of this sideways move. Again, you're going to look for price to break above to move directional, break below to move directional, or I mean, you can just look for the breakout, right? Breakout. It doesn't have to be a directional push. This could just be a breakout in one direction. and then back in a sideways move, breakout, back into sideways. All right. So there was no entry there for market flow, or I mean, not, it wouldn't matter. So there's no scalp entries here. When we're in the sideways move right here, guys, I'm not really looking for any scalps because I don't like trading sideways moves. I like to trade directional moves. So earlier price came down right here. There was no market flow entries that came up. And then price went sideways right here on 7 o'clock. And now we're looking for these breakout V3 order flows. So just a reminder, guys, for the breakout. So today's breakout didn't play through. Again, I need to have one winning breakout before I can start looking for any entries. So I just want to make that clear to you guys, moving forward. I'm gonna update the the entry over here as well. So today is the 11th. Yeah, today it lost in either direction. All right, we got a pending sell signal right here. Price is still within the range. You can see the range here is pretty big. It's between the 350 and the 250 down here. So although price is moving, it's still considered in a range. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I just don't see anything here for us to take right now. So we'll continue looking for opportunity, but at this very moment, it's just nothing for us to take. Yeah, Samson faked out where there was a V1. Was the way to go. Yeah, another V1 right here. Another V1 right there, Sam. Double body rejection, price came down. That's like one thing that you can look at too. If you're looking, you don't have to base it off momentum. You can base it off the V1 variations. Because that's another strong catalyst to look at from. So 750 right here. Price came down. I'm kind of curious now, like, because if you look at the order flow from these, like if you're at a high point, I think it's a strong number right next to it. Uh, where was the other V1? I'm gonna look at that one real quick. So it was right here at the 702. I'm just kind of curious to see, like, whenever I see these patterns, it kind of gives me an idea of like, all right, what to expect next time. So price came down and then it started turning up right here. So one thing that I was looking at is the order flow here, like when price starts to loop up the other way. So like, for example, price coming down and then you get a low at this point and then price starts to push up. So at 703, or basically price came down, the lower point here was at 702. That's a lower low. So it went from negative 20 to negative 33 to negative 76 to 247. No, I was trying to look for a pattern here to see like if there's there's a way to identify this, but I think this is just it's a little too tricky. I think the momentum way is still the easier way to do it. when looking at order flow, because you already know the direction of momentum. And the reason why I started to see this, like the reason why I saw this pattern was because let me go to the big chart. So if I zoom out, you can see there's some instances where like you get a buy signal here and this thing pushes up for a long time, right? So the thing that I was looking at is if price pushes up like this, you can catch entries. Like for example, we had the sell signal right here, right? And see how far it pushed down? There's two entries that came up right here. Like I was trying to figure out, okay, I know momentum sometimes is like very strong, sometimes it's not. Like for example, there's a buy signal here, but it barely pushed up a little bit. This one over here is a sell signal, but it came down for a pretty long extended period. I was like, okay, I need to figure out how can I get into trades? How do I get into trades in between here? And that's where I came up with the order flow. Because I was like, okay, and this is the same way with like the pivots, right? So like if you're trading the market flow V2, when do you know when it's actually going to be holding for that long, right? Because the thing is, you can catch market flow V2s in here or MPS entries, but how do you know when it's like a long momentum or how do you know when it's a short momentum? And that's why the order flow here comes into play. And it's very useful because it helps you like really understand like, okay, I don't have to get in like way up here, but I can get in down here as long as I have a confirmation of continuation. So that's where my logic comes from. You know, like all of my strategies and the way that I trade, there's always logic behind it. I'm not just like thinking about like random stuff. I'm not like, oh, just because price hits support here, take the buy, right? I don't think that way. The way I think is like I need to have some sort of logic behind like why price is moving this way. And the biggest logic here is that, you know, you look at order flow because that's where the orders are coming in. And if you can just follow the flow of market, it's a lot easier to just ride the wave versus trying to predict where the tops and bottoms are at. So like for me, that's just the way I trade. If you look at all my strategies, guys, I never try to catch the tops and I never try to catch the bottoms. I always look for like, for example, so like for example, within this area, I typically don't try to catch it right when it starts. I try to catch it in the middle because I have better confirmation here. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. Like you can use the trend, you can use the pivots, you can use the high-low scalps, you can use a lot of things. But now that I've been using the order flow here, it kind of gives you a better understanding because you can see where the supply and demand is actually sitting. So yeah, super, super helpful. Yeah, Sam said, I think like you always do is, I think like you always do is better directional V1, price is bearish. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Sam, 100%. You know, I try to do that too. I try to have some sort of bias or like I try to trade in the direction of the trend so that I have some sort of like if I screw up, for example, right? Say you take a V1 variation and the trend is overall bearish and the momentum is bearish, you can probably still do pretty well even if you screwed up doing something like that. There's a possible entry right here, guys, for a sell. Let's see. The only problem is that it's at the sessions, but I did get in right there. So I looked at the delta here. Let's see, the delta was the delta here was at, but again, it was at the session, so this is a tricky area to be trading in. So I probably should have held off on that one. But I was looking at the delta here, and the delta came down pretty quick. So the delta right here was 941, 129. The problem here is that it was just at the session, so probably not a good area. I could probably double dip into it. Let me see if I can double dip into it if it comes back down. But again, I'm just testing the strategy, guys. So you guys don't have to take any of these entries. I'm just testing these to see like how these here work out and how they play through. Because the only way for me to really know if it works is if I test it out myself. And then once I test it out, I'll know for sure if it works or not. And I can tell you guys if it's like worthy to take certain entries or not from there. So I think I might wrap this up for the day. I just realized it's 8:03 right now, so it's already past time. Yeah, I think it's probably just best to wrap it up for the day. So guys, if there's any more questions that you guys have, feel free to hop into the chat. Otherwise, there was no breakout for today that I took because of the risk off plan. Also, we have to have one win before I can take another entry. So I will continue to look for opportunities here as we continue looking for these tomorrow. But I'll keep testing out the strategy and we'll see how it works because I think it's pretty promising how the strategy is going to be long term. It's just we have to trade it during certain times when, for one, there's no red flags here, and for two, when it's not in a specific area where there's just sideways market. This whole market's been sideways pretty much this whole day. There's like maybe like a little stint over here of directional move, and then it's been pretty much sideways. I wouldn't even consider this the breakout. I would just consider this a sideways move for the past hour, basically. It's been a sideways market. Let's see. Sam said, do you delta strategy only in the first 30 minutes? No. So from what I've looked at, it's pretty much all day. I mean, you can do it all day. There's going to be some times where the entries come up like super early in the beginning, and there's going to be some times where the entries come up super late and later in the session. So from my experience, I've noticed that it's just all throughout it's all throughout the session, and then it's all throughout the day. I've seen some entries come up like later at like 11 o'clock. Like right now it's 8 o'clock. Sometimes the market will just be flat from like 8 until 9. And then when the volatility picks up around like 10 or 11, then it will be like there will be entries there that come up. So yeah, I don't think it's the first 30 minutes. Especially like, for example, today. Like I think so the market opened right here at 6:30, right? For the first 20 minutes, the market was actually sideways. Didn't move directional until like 6:47. So yeah, it's just, it's the market that we're currently in. During a regular market, yeah, that might make more sense the first 3 minutes because 6:30 to 7 is usually where it's very volatile. But for the most part, it's been sideways for the past 2 days, or from today and on Monday. Yesterday was good, but today and Monday, sideways pretty much all day. All right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, there's no breakout for today. I took a couple entries with regard to this breakout order flow, but for the most part, just not really much here to work with. So we'll come back tomorrow fresh, run it back again, and hopefully the market will be more directional so that we can take more entries during this live session. So, all right, guys, if you guys have questions,